And good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Saturday, August 5th, 2017 edition of Auto Talk. I am your host, Ed Welsh, and for the rest of this hour, we will be discussing matters that are of pertinence to you and your automobile. As always, we hope to impart to you some useful automotive information and perhaps provoke some automotive conversation on a Saturday morning that's hopefully the rain is leaving us. If the weather predictions are correct, hey, it's going to turn out pretty good this weekend, so I hope you get out and enjoy yourself. We've got lots of stuff to talk about today, but first I want to get to our car care tip of the week, and that's how to avoid common mistakes when selling your car. You know, selling your car is a pain in the butt. Let's make no mistake about it. And there are some things that people do that actually mess themselves up. And of course, I'm talking about people who want to sell the car themselves. You know, obviously, the easiest thing to do is to just sell it to the dealer, right? You take it over there, say, listen, take this thing off my hands. That would be the simple thing to do. But of course, it's obviously, you have to realize that no matter how friendly the salesperson is or how much money you want to spend, one thing's for sure, the dealer's not going to give you what your used car might be worth because they have to sell the car. In other words, you're giving up value for convenience. And that's a fair trade. If you don't want to have to go through what it takes to sell your car, then that's what you do. But today we're going to talk about what to do if you really do want to sell your car and you want to, basically park it out there and put a for sale sign on it. What do you do? So we're going to tell you the common mistakes that people make. And I hope that you'll pay attention if you're ever going to be in the mood for selling your car. These things might be helpful. First and most obvious, it may sound obvious, but a clean car is easier to sell than a dirty car. I mean, logic is simple. People like buying new things. Few people want to, want somebody else's worn out garbage, let's face it. That's why you put it to the curb, right? And we're not talking about, I'm not, just simply, running it through the car wash here, okay? Go for the works. You want to clean the car, wax it up, get the tires looking good, hubcaps, wheels, clean trunk, clean the interior very good. You don't want to leave the french fries from McDonald's down on the floor when you're selling your car. A little bit of Armor All goes a long way, or products like it. And of course, you could basically polish, clean the glass. It's amazing how much better a car looks when the glass of the car is clean. Now, you could do this yourself, or you could pay somebody. It rarely costs more than $100 to have it done really well by people who do car detailing. And let's face it, if you're in a situation where the you're in no hurry, you can cut a deal with somebody on a slow day. They can schedule you in, maybe cut you a little bit of a deal. But the bottom line is get the car looking as good as it can look. And I'm not talking about painting it. I'm talking about making it look good what you have. So you're putting its best foot forward when someone's going to see it. Now, there's some things you should not waste your money on repair-wise before you sell the car. And this is a little bit of a personal choice. I mean, there are people who sell their cars with a laundry list of needs. Then there's other people who fix everything under the sun before they send it down the road. Now, the key to this, of course, with most things in life is a little bit of moderation. Nobody wants to buy a car immediately and have to send it to a mechanic. But you shouldn't go overboard. What you want to err on the side of is safety and vehicular enjoyment. So in other words, let's say the radio doesn't work. That would be bad, because people aren't going to enjoy their car without their radio. How could they listen to me without their radio, for example? Not good. So you want to fix the radio. But, should you change the brake fluid, right? Should you flush the engine out? Those things are not going to gain you any points with someone that's going to buy the car. Are the tires bald? Well, yeah, that's a different issue. Again, we're talking about safety. Are the brakes metal to metal? No, that's not good. We're talking safety. So you get the idea of the difference. Do what you got to do so that people can enjoy the car, but also make sure you get to do the things to do that keep the car safe. Now, one of the most important things is not to list your car in a vague or illogical manner. Now, let's say you're in the real estate business, right? Well, of course, three most important words in real estate is location, 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 right? Well, in the car business and the car sales business, it's advertising, advertising, and advertising. This is why car dealerships buy pages and pages of ads in the newspaper every single day, because that's what they do. It's advertising. That's why they're on radio all the time. That's why they're on TV all the time. That's why many of them have a huge social media presence. It's advertising. So take the time to compose your ad. You want to avoid listing it in little red places. For example, like the local newspapers' classifieds. Nobody reads them anymore. And I know they still have them, and they still sell them, but trust me, people don't read it. If you're selling a special interest model, you want to seek out enthusiast forums online. For example, if you've got a Corvette to sell, what better place to tell people that you're going to sell it on a Corvette forum online? There's dozens of them. The same with most other cars. Trucks and cars and Volkswagens, you name it, there's a forum for them, because the people who own those things gather around the social media place that people gather, and they talk about their vehicles. And these are great places to also learn things about the vehicle itself. If you're interested in looking to buy one, you can learn a lot from those forums. But my point is, that's a good place to sell something that you want to sell, is on enthusiast forum. Now, if you got a sports car, you're gonna sell. Hey, you want to go to that particular model's, we'll just say forum. And the other thing is, whether it's in print or the internet, you got to run picture-heavy listings. And what I mean by that is, you've really got to do a lot of photographing of the vehicle. For example, you can build an online photo gallery and include the link with every ad. Now, the key is to remember that somewhere out there, someone desperately wants your car. You just have to find that person. And that is absolutely true. And so what we're talking about is, again, how do you advertise? Another good thing to say is don't use bad photos. You can take a lot of photos, but they can be horrible. I've seen photos online, you cannot comprehend what it is you're looking at. So most private used car sales take place on the internet, as you can well imagine. People aren't driving around looking for cars. Some do, but again, not as a chore. But the internet, of course, is a visual medium, so it makes sense to cater to people's curiosity. So shoot more pictures than you think you need. I mean, most cameras today, most phones have very good cameras built into them. But you don't have to have a lot of camera skills to make these things work. These things are almost like idiot-proof. But I'll give you a good example. Let's say your car is really in good shape and there's no rust on it. I'm going to tell you something. I'd have the car on the lift and I'd be taking pictures of it from that angle. Because if there's no rust on it, you're going to see that there's no rust on it. And that's a good example of taking the proper kind of picture. And of course, if the car has a really good paint job on it, yeah, you want to have pictures of it going the other way. You want it from the front, from the top, where you can see the paint in the sun. But if your car, for example, has no rust on it, or not rotted out, I'd be taking pictures of the underneath of the car for my ad. Because you know what? People are curious. When they see pictures, they're going to say, what's that? They're going to read your ad, and they're going to look at the pictures and say, hey, this thing is well, no rust. Well, when you show pictures that it's well kept and no rust, you're going to get a lot of calls for that car. Another thing is, don't sell at the wrong time. For example, selling snowplows in July is generally not a good time to sell snowplows. And conversely, you don't want to be selling your convertible in January. It's just, people are not going to take the top down and take it for a test drive, are they? However, today would be a good day to put a convertible for sale. And January would be a great time to sell a plow truck, especially right after you had about a foot of snow on the ground. Again, timing is everything. So there's things you should not do on top of that. For example, try not to even sell your car in the wintertime. People are not inclined to go looking for cars in the middle of winter. Also, don't sell at the beginning or the end of the month. Most people have bills due at that time, and that's not the time where they're floating in the most cash. And avoid the tax season for the same reason. And again, if you're selling an emotionally charged vehicle like a high-powered Roadster or a Corvette or something, you don't want to schedule test drives when it's going to rain out, right? So, again, gloomy days make fun cars seem like an extravagance. So the truth of the matter is, timing is very important when it comes to selling. Another thing is, don't offer untrustworthy proofs of condition of the vehicle. Let me paint a picture for you. So Joe car buyer shows up at your house, right? He's got his license in hand. Which, by the way, you should never let anyone test drive your car unless you see their driver's license. It's kind of a stupid thing, but think about that for a moment. But this guy wants to drive your car. So the car's in the garage and it's buried under bicycles and lawn equipment. Well, the kids are running down the driveway screaming, and the records of your repairs and everything are someplace in the house, but you have to go find them. So you sit Joe at the kitchen table while you scramble around for half an hour. Now, would you buy a car in that environment? I don't think so. Again, preparedness and forethought goes a long way. And when Joe shows up, be respectful of Joe's time. Say, have the car ready? Want to show it to you? Those are the kinds of things you want to do. And the last thing I said, don't put too much or little stock in the Blue Book values. When you go online like the Kelley Blue Book or one of these sites, NADA, these are guidelines. And they're comforting to a degree, but they're estimates. And that's what they are, is estimates. Because pretty much the pricing models are based on high volume, often sight unseen auction sales. Such numbers are not always accurate. So for example, if your car is special with a low production model, or aren't that many built, for example, well, the estimate could be very low, even what's in the Blue Book. On the same token, if your car's a worn-out rat, even the lowest published price is probably not going to be what you get for the car. So you've got to be realistic about it. Your car is only worth what somebody is willing to pay for it. No more, no less. So if you wrote all that down, folks, you're on your way to a pretty good way of selling your cars. And of course, remember what I said at the beginning. If you don't want to do all this, you take it to the dealer and you trade it in like I do. And the bottom line is, you're going to get less money, but you're not going to have to do all the things I just told you.